How's it going, YouTube? Welcome into Sprint Car Central. This is the first true episode here, and really, episode is kind of an interesting term. It's more of like a video. We will have live form content that will be more like an episode, but today I was kind of looking through in the hours past the Tulsa Shootout and have kind of come across a topic that was interesting to me, and kind of wanted to speak on it as somebody who's new to the Tulsa Shootout itself, um, or newish. It's been, I think I've watched every one since 2022, which is about the time that really gained in popularity. But um, the thought process this last week and the conversations have been a change in format. Like, is there a change in format necessary to avoid having one-to-one heat race winners end up potentially missing or being on the fringe of making a qualifier? So with that, I wanted to just sit back and kind of look into that a little bit. Why is that a thing? Why are people concerned about that? Should we really be concerned? And should we look into a change in the Tulsa Shootout? I want to ask you guys, if you're new around here, please like, subscribe. We're growing the channel here. We're at 13 subscribers. We're brand new. We are just starting. This is, again, our second video, our first true episode, if you will. So all I ask is that you click the little subscribe button, help us out here, help me out here at Sprint Car Central, and continue to try to make really fun and good content for you guys. So I appreciate you guys. I'm not going to harp on that too much. Let's go ahead and carry on with the actual topic of the day. When you look at this, and forgive me, I'm looking down at my notes here. I've got a lot of things wrote down. I want to make sure I get to all of the things that have kind of crossed my mind on this. So the first thing is just, again, a lot of conversation. As time went on, we saw a lot of guys make pretty good runs through the heat races, putting themselves almost locked in the qualifiers, going from 10 to 4, 10 to 3, 10 to 2s, and even a few 10 to 1s, which then put us in this question mark phase of, are the 1 to 1 guys, are they going to get in? Are the heat race winners in general going to get in? 1 to 1's the big question mark, of course, because they are the ones who certainly have kind of the most question, I guess, right? Like, they didn't do anything wrong. They just, it's luck of the draw, of course, when it comes to these heat race lineups. Sure enough, I didn't turn that off. I thought I did. Um, but I want to pull something up here. I got it on the screen now. A picture of finishing orders and things like that for the Tulsa Shootout and how the heat race points go. So if you look at this here, of course, that put me on the screen, but if you look at that, the screen here, you'll notice that 1 to 1s get 100 points. And anything beyond that, you start to notice that there's guys who get, of course, better, higher points for going fourth to second, for example, or from sixth to third, you get more points than the 100 you get from 1 to 1. So basically, it looks like a punishment, right? It feels like a punishment. We're not going to talk about the anomalies, the 10 to 1s, but it feels like a punishment to start first at times, because then you have to kind of sweat it out as time goes on. Obviously, I think the number sat right around 98 in a lot of these classes. In terms of who made qualifiers, the number sat somewhere in that high 90s number. That puts the 100s in question a little bit. The thing that I believe here is that finishing first just has to mean something, right? It doesn't matter if you start first or start 10th. Finishing first has to mean something. Of course, again, I'm going to pull it back up. I know it's kind of in the way or blocking me off. Let's see if I can move this over a little bit. I understand that 10th to first deserves 145 points, but what I don't think deserves more than first to first or 1 to 1, if in terms of just keeping things simple, is a 6th to third. The passing points should matter, but I don't believe that you should be credited more than somebody who was able to win their heat race, even still. I understand a lot of this is luck of the draw, and I think that's the biggest question mark a lot of people have, is how can we move from the luck of the draw situation? Well, without adding a whole nother day of just qualifying, I don't think you can do that. And that's what that Monday would look like. Instead of hot laps and practice sessions, it would instead turn into qualifying sessions, group qualifying all day. And that would be the way that things would be lined up. That's a solution, I suppose, but I think that it certainly puts a lot more strain on people's abilities, people's motors, people's equipment. It's a question that certainly begs it's a question that's worth asking, but how much is it worth asking? How much is that option really viable? I think the draw is perfect. Obviously, not every year you're going to have guys like Jason Persley starting in 10th in their respective heat races. That's not going to happen, and that certainly bumped the numbers up a little bit this year. But I don't think that we're going to be seeing 10 to 1s consistently. We only saw 3 of them this year. So it's not like we're going to see a bunch of 10 to 1s out here. We saw, again, 3. We're not seeing a bunch of, 9 to 1s or even 8 to 1s. But what we're seeing is those different movers from 6 to 2, 6 to 3, um, 7 to 3. Those numbers that start to then get above the winning payout. I think the winners deserve to get something. There should be a minimum for winning the heat race. And I think that 100 number just might not be it. I don't know really what the best option is, because I feel like if you inflate one, you inflate all. And then again, we sit right back in the same position. I don't know that there's truly an answer. I don't know if there's truly a thought process that we can come up with that really gives a fair outcome to anybody, right? Because of course you want to credit the ones who are moving through their heat races, right? The ones that got a tough draw. Obviously, that's why the passing points exist. But for the ones that it's almost just as tough or just as bad luck to start first with a fast race car, because you might be going to a B main. And that's, again, questions that have to be asked, questions that we have to certainly wonder about. If if I got to be honest, I think the cause this year, I don't really think there's much concern. I think this year was kind of an extenuating circumstance. Again, we had multiple really solid veterans who started ninth, 10th, even, 8th or 7th or 8th, that made their moves through fields and created this inflation in terms of passing points, in terms of the scores this year. Do I think that'll change a little bit next year? Yeah, because not everybody's going to be, Jason Persley's not going to draw 10s again, or at least not in the same situation. Again, it's very unlikely that, just as unlikely as it is to draw a 1, it's unlikely to draw a 10, and obviously you have to dig yourself out of those holes. You have to find yourself there. But again, we're not going to see a bunch of 10 to 1s. We saw 3 of them. We're not going to see. It's really questioning where, finishing third then becomes better than winning is kind of the question mark. Unless you're coming from 10th, I don't know that finishing third is better than winning. Just kind of my 2 cents on that situation. If I were to say there's a fix, is making finishing first mean more? A minimum of 110 points for a first place finish rather than 100. It doesn't overinflate anything. It certainly doesn't make things look too much different. But what it does is it helps out those who do get that tough draw, who maybe have good cars, or maybe you're just able to take advantage of starting out front and going on and winning their heat races. I think winning the heat race has to mean something. And I've seen some other things thrown around. Of course, winning a heat race, the heat race winner plus the high point man of the heat race go to the qualifier races. That certainly could be an option. I just don't think it's a great option. I think that we should certainly continue to credit those who move through, those who can push through the field. Because if you have, for example, this is a very random example, but Jason Persley, Clinton Boyles, Frank Flood, 3 guys who are really experienced and really, really strong at Tulsa, especially in the shootout. Those 3 guys in the same heat race, we're gonna only take one of them potentially if they all start between 5th and 10th. We're only gonna get to take one of those unless one of them wins and the other one's a high point. That's kind of the question mark that I have in my mind. It's just that doesn't quite work for me. I think that just upping the number for first place finish, that's what I would think is probably the best option. Let me know what you guys think down below. Of course, look, race fans, we're all opinionated. I would love to hear what you guys think. Do you guys think there's a solution that needs to be found? Do you think that we're just making a mountain out of a molehill? I kind of think that's where we're at. But it's certainly worth questioning, because obviously you want it to be fair. You want people to have a legitimate opportunity for winning their heat races. I think that should matter. But what do we think really is the fine line in the sand? I think we're in a really good spot right now. I think we had some extenuating circumstances, but I think it's in a really good spot. I think the scoring system works well. We have too many cars to try to do a time trial week. So where we stand right now, I feel like is as good as we can make it. Maybe some slight tweaks to points, but beyond that, I feel like we're in a really good spot. So I just want to again get on here, kind of talk about it. I saw a lot of this was like a hot button topic this week. Really curious as to what you guys think down below. What I'm not going to get into is the Jet Yanis DQ situation. There's a lot of stuff to come out from that, and I'm really curious about the situation. Jet's dad Joey was mentioning that Jason Myers was going to come out and look at their engine manufacturer and make sure everything's being built properly. And we'll see. We'll see if that if anything comes of that. I would really like to see how that works out. I'd like to see how some of these other things come out over the course of the time on that. Obviously, it's really unfortunate for Jay Yanis, and it shouldn't go against him. Obviously, he's a young kid. He doesn't have anything to do with the setups in a situation like that, especially an engine issue. Not that at least I wouldn't assume. I don't want to assume that he doesn't work on the car, because that's not what I'm saying. But I also don't want to assume that that he knows anything about what was going on there. So, with that said, do want to congratulate all the winners from this past weekend. A really cool weekend. Tulsa Shootout's growing year over year, and becomes a really cool event, a really cool precursor to the Chili Bowl, of course, in a couple weeks. And we'll be here for that as well. So, yeah, just appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, want to congratulate the winners real quick though. Junior sprints. We'll go with that. We'll get Jax Whitmer wins the junior sprints. Stock downwind was Cullen Hutchinson, a 13-year-old kid from North Carolina, from my neck of the woods actually. Races at Mobridge pretty regularly. A really cool win, led wire to wire in that one. And we saw a lot of those too. I think we saw 4 people start from pole and finish first. And the Winged Outlaw, Dason Pursley, finally gets the monkey off his back. He takes home a driller. That's a big deal for him. Really exciting for him. And that CB Industries team. I know he was really upset about not getting it last year. Excited to have it have one this year. The restricted A class was Braxton Vasconcelos. A really solid win for him. The A class, Jet Yanis was the original winner, across the line first, but he was disqualified. Frank Flood gets the win in the A class car. And then the non-wing outlaw, the 55-lap feature, Jonathan Beeson wins from the pole and leads every lap of the race. A really, really solid one. We got a mix of good green flag laps and then a handful of restarts that really shook some things up. But at the end of the day, Jonathan Beeson able to control the race and take home a golden driller. So those are your 6 winners. Congratulations to all of them. Really excited to have the American year, the calendar year, flipped over now. And, of course, the Wild West Shootouts this weekend. This is not a late model channel, but the Wild West Shootouts coming up. And then they get right into Chili Bowl next week. It's going to be really exciting. A fun time of year. We got some cool content coming your way as well. It's not over just because we're done talking about this here. Got a lot of cool content coming your way. Some really exciting plans in the future. So, again, if you guys will stick around, please like, subscribe, help me out here. Help this channel continue to grow. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, taking the time if you've gotten through these 13 minutes. And, yeah, with all that said, thank you so much. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you next time here on Sprint Car Central.